morning. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Of course, I'm Glenn. Of course, he's Griffin. I act like you don't know that, but, you know, there's somebody new here. Imagine today being the day. I don't know what would it been made you discover it.
Terps.
Oh, that's what it was? I don't know what I didn't get to. It was obviously a heck of a performance. Maryland blowing out Ohio State at home last night. We'll get into that in a few minutes. Jason Horowitz was on the call for Big Ten Network. He will join us, tell us a little bit more about what he saw from the Terps last evening. Oh, yeah, man, John Colson left, right? Drew went. I feel like
Drew's a Terps fan?
He's a number one, man. It's wild. We'll get into that. Also this morning, we'll talk a little bit more about the Justin Tucker situation. Former Ravens special teams coordinator Gary Zauner will join us. And a little bit later on this morning, we will catch up with our buddy Qadry Ismail. Plus, we'll make some picks with KZ. That's all on the way on a Thursday edition of the program. What's going on at Live Casino and Hotel these days?
You know what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel these days. Glenn, you are getting $7 in free slot play for every touchdown that is scored during home games by Baltimore or Washington's football teams this season. Live Rewards members who have their Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine, any slot machine on the floor, and are actively playing, get their prize, $7 in free slot play every time a touchdown is scored for Baltimore or Washington during their home games this season at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right. I'm not really sure what there is to say about Diontae Johnson. Still. And I get it. Like, we finally got the actual information. We finally learned what was happening, and it ain't great. Let's start with that. Whatever the circumstances are, there's no way it's good. It allows us to sort of teeter into some other areas, and for our minds to wander into, like, what is going on with this football team? Because if you add Diontae Johnson apparently refusing to go into a game on top of all of the nonsense they dealt with Eddie Jackson and whatever's been going on with Marcus Williams this season, you're like, yo, is there like is there a problem with the leadership of this football team? Is there a bigger issue here? And does that explain some of their shortcomings despite their talent? Do you feel like little things like this are making you understand more why a team that certainly has the talent is sitting at 8-5? And I understand why that's the way that some people are feeling today, because it's a little un-Ravens-like. Which, let's be fair, it's not like these are the first ever examples of there being problematic situations between players and the Baltimore Ravens. We're kind of doing a wacky if we pretend like this is the first time. It would also be silly to suggest that the Ravens haven't been able to overcome situations like this. This is not remotely dissimilar to, like, in 2008, there being an issue with Chris McAllister, who was a much more accomplished and much more significant veteran on that football team than any of these guys. And that team went to the AFC Championship game. Or there being like a literal mutiny, apparently, among the players in 2012 after the blowout loss to the Texans when John Harbaugh wanted to do padded, full-hitting practices that week, and the players said, the hell we're doing that. And, you know, that team went on to win a Super Bowl, complete with an offensive coordinator change. As my friend Jason Cole, who was, I think, still with Yahoo Sports at the time, said to John Harbaugh one day, he said, it's like you're dancing on the edge of chaos. He was kind of right. It did feel that way. And yet they went to win a Super Bowl. So I don't know that we can make it so like there's some bigger thing here. I don't know what the circumstances are by which, and by the way, I've tried poking around for the last couple of days, and I got a lot of radio silence. There was not much being said about this. Like, I am still interested. What were the circumstances? When did you ask him to go into the game? Not because it matters, just for my own, self-interest. I'm still wondering, did you ask him to go in as a punt returner? Was it later in the game and he was like, boy, you didn't want me when Bateman got hurt? Not because it makes a difference. It doesn't. It's just that I'm interested. That's all. Because no matter what the circumstances were, if you said, hey, dude, get in the game, and he said no, I don't know how he stays on the team. And that's the part of this that becomes really interesting, right? The part of this that becomes extraordinarily interesting is, if I'm a Baltimore Raven, why would I want that guy on my team? Now, maybe the answer is he's already gone and apologized and asked for forgiveness, and there's a leadership structure, and the leadership structure says, look, man, we think a guy got emotionally caught up in a moment, and we're willing to give it. I don't know. But me personally, Glenn Clark, you're on my team, and you didn't want to go into a game? I don't want you on my team. Are you out of your mind? Suspended for one game. Now, I get that it might be complicated. For the Ravens, it might really be the thing that we had talked about before. You
don't want him to be.
I don't want him going anywhere else either. Now, if he's this much of a malcontent, then I don't really know how much you'd be concerned about that. But that might have something to do with it. Or they might genuinely think that he can help. Or, as people have pointed out, maybe they really are just in a situation where they wonder about how injured Rashad Bateman is going into the next game, although he's not going to be available for the next game because he's suspended. So if Rashad Bateman can't play against the Giants, they're down to 3 receivers, which maybe against the Giants doesn't matter all that much. Maybe you're okay, but, let's maybe not have too much hubris. We've seen this team lose to the Raiders and the Browns. It's a bizarre scenario.
The Browns are a good team.
No, they're not.
Steelers.
Thank you. It's a bizarre scenario. There's no defense of it. There's no, well, hey, if these were the and I don't. I saw Drew send out a tweet last night. Anybody defending Diontae, that no such person found. There might be people that are interested in, again, the circumstances, like I am, but no one is actually defending someone saying, I'm not going to go into the game. That person doesn't exist. Everyone realizes that's not okay. We all beat up Anthony Richardson for just wanting to come out of the game a couple of weeks back, for needing a breather. We didn't know if that could be overcome. As it turns out, it can be. He's been okay. Not great, but he's been okay. But this, no. And I don't know what the answer ends up being. I don't know what happens after the Giants game. The Ravens say they're not going to talk about it, which is, I got to be honest, that's rich. That's rich. And I mean this with respect. They don't want to talk about it. And it might very well be that they do the thing that James Franklin did that was embarrassing, when they said, hey, we can't talk about these players that we had to kick off the team because there was an assault allegation against them. And then the reporter said, yeah, but we have to do our jobs. And so they asked the questions anyway. And then James Franklin just wandered away from the podium. If that's what John Harbaugh is going to do, no, you never look good. There's no way to win that in the court of public opinion. And again, the Ravens might not care. They might be so insulated that they just say, hey, y'all can hate us, but this is the way it's going to be.
And this will blow over.
But the idea that next week, when they come back and John Harbaugh either holds a I don't know if he's doing a Monday press conference with the bye. It's been that long since I've covered the team formally. I assume he still does a Monday press conference, although they've looked for reasons to do less and less. So, nothing would really surprise me. Whether he does a Monday press conference or whether it's next Wednesday as they're preparing for the game, the notion that all of these reporters are just supposed to be well, they said they weren't going to talk about it, so we're just going to pretend like it doesn't exist.
Looks like there's one scheduled for now.
It's nonsense. It's nonsense. And it's laughable. Now, it might very well be that John Harbaugh says, look, man, we're really not going to get into all the details of it. We made the decision to suspend Diontae. That's the way it's going to go. That might very well be how much he's coached up. But to pretend like anybody wouldn't go into the locker room and ask these guys, hey, how do you deal with this? Is insanity. Like, I mean, it's complete insanity. I understand wanting to control the narrative. I do. But you don't suspend a player for not going into a game and think, well, that's that. We've handled it. I mean, get the F out, man. It's not even a knock at those guys because I get, like, eternally, that's what everybody wants to do is always control the narrative at every turn. But, Mike, come on. This is about as inflammatory as it gets. I'm so sure it will just go away. I'm trying to think of what would have to happen with the Ravens between now and then for it not to be the most interesting thing that everyone – like Justin Tucker can't miss another kick between now and next week. It can't happen.
So you're just talking about Monday specifically.
I'm saying next week when they get back together, what with the Ravens could possibly happen that would make this be secondary? It would have to be something truly awful. Like if somebody would have to get arrested.
Well, I mean, I guess they're okay with it being the story for a week, I guess, and then
I don't know. They said they weren't gonna. There'd be no further comment. There would be no more.
Well, that must be what they're just gonna say. I mean, they're telling everybody.
It might be what John Harbaugh's gonna say. That might very well be the case, and it might be what they want the other players to say. But that'll be their choice, and maybe all of them are totally fine with it. I can't imagine being cool. I can't imagine. It would actually be more problematic to me if, like, legitimately, not, hey, we're going to present this because we're trying to put the right foot forward, but if, like, legitimately 53 guys were all like, yeah, we're cool with it. Like, what?
And maybe they're all just, they know who Diontae Johnson is, and no one's really all that shocked.
And this is the I got a message from a buddy of mine who's a Steelers fan. I told you that this was a bad idea, dude. You're not gonna I get this is what everything has to be a win or a loss. Like that's the way that everything works. This can't be a loss. It can't be. We can talk about juice and squeeze all we want. I'll go back to it. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I think we're at that point where we lost this one. All good. It didn't cost anything. It was a lottery ticket worth scratching. We've all bought $1 scratch-off tickets or put something in the penny slots, whatever it is that you – there was no cost to it. All good. It happens. I'd be in the juice not worth the squeeze camp at this point. I'd be in the just move on. But I get it. It's more complicated than that. And I don't know all the inner workings of why it is the Ravens might be inclined to continue to try to make it work with Diontae Johnson. Only they can speak to that. That's their business. If the players on the team aren't turned off by it, if they are willing to go along with it, if they think they've got an understanding, I said if he already publicly apologized to the entire team and made amends and all of those things, then and they said, yeah, we're good with it, then okay. But I would absolutely be in the camp of, dude, it's just not worth it. And that's okay. It's fine. It's like being angry about, Eloy Jimenez. It didn't cost you anything. It's fine. You try to scratch her, it didn't work. You want to be angry about what they didn't do? The opportunity cost? We can have that conversation eternally. Again, not knowing what was even possible. Could they have traded for DeAndre Hopkins? Could they have traded for, Amari Cooper? Just made Amari Cooper Austin Hooper.
Austin Collie, is that who you're thinking?
No, I'm certainly not thinking of Austin Collie. I was making him Austin Hooper, who is still in the NFL. Had no idea.
Yeah.
Good for him.
You think Austin Collie can still play?
No, I don't think so. I think that ship has sailed.
If anyone would give him a shot.
Not anymore. That's not their MO any longer. Yeah, not anymore. You want to have those conversations? By all means, have those conversations about what they didn't do. But to actually be bothered by the Diontae Johnson trade?
It's only 39.
Okay. To be bothered by that? Come on, man. Like it was a freebie. It was a take a look. We all said it at the time. If he comes here and he's the same guy, you just say adios. And people doing the bit yesterday were like, well, you want to make sure you hold on to him because you could still get a comp pick for him. Like, what is the comp pick going to be at this point? What are we really talking about?
Hug and a handshake, maybe?
Like, I get it. I'm not trying. Any talented player has a chance of signing on with somebody, but the notion that Diontae Johnson is putting himself in position to get money this offseason is silly. You're talking about, what, a 6th or 7th round pick?
If that. I mean, yeah. Like,
that's what you're looking at? Maybe? That ain't going to be – that will not factor into my decision about – if the Ravens are saying we're going to hold on to him because we want to get that comp pick –
don't they already have like
then
10?
Blow up the organization. I mean it. If that's – we are so lost in the way this goes. And I get that they love that type of stuff. Like, it's the mental math. These guys love it. But if you're making a decision about keeping a player who refused to go into a football game because there's still a chance that you could get a 7th round pick for him, stop. We're doing it wrong. And I refuse to believe that that would be the reason why they would cling to Diontae Johnson. I can be wrong, but I refuse to believe it. We'll see how it plays out. At the moment, it's a 1-game suspension. And it doesn't really impact the team because, Diontae Johnson wasn't impacting the team. It is, in a bye week, it's a big story. In the big scheme of things, it's a giant nothing. Unless there's a seed of distrust that has been planted within the team. Unless there are guys, a group of guys on the team that are pissed off that they didn't release him, and there's a bigger problem there. And until we become aware of anything like that, I can't react to that hypothetical. If I was a teammate, I don't know why I'd want him around. But again, there can be mitigating circumstances. That's, I think, all I can possibly. I don't know what else there is to say. Not having Diontae Johnson against the Giants is about as helpful as having Diontae Johnson against the Giants. At least what we've seen in Baltimore. And I'm not worked up about it. My opinion is they should release him. If they've got reason to not, then, as long as it doesn't become a bigger problem for the rest of the team, that's what it is. I think we can wash our hands of it now. I think there's nothing until look. I'll bring it up with Qadry. I'll ask the same question, dude. If you're a teammate, how can you just? Can it be okay? Is it possible for it to be okay? That's the thing, and we'll find out if that's the case. All right, today's show also brought to you by the Ed Block Courage Awards. They have a huge event coming up Monday night. This Monday night, the Ed Block Courage Awards are hosting the Holiday Party. It's your opportunity to rub elbows with one of the biggest stars on the team. Get your tickets to the Ed Block Courage Award Foundation Holiday Party Monday, December 9th at the Evolved Hospitality Catering Hall in Falston with special guest host Zay Flowers. The event includes a live podcast show, audience Q&A, meet and greet, and photo op with the Ravens star wide receiver. Enjoy a tailgate buffet from 3-time Best of Baltimore chef Zach Trabold of the renowned The Local Restaurants. Donate a toy to support the children at St. Vincent's Villa and receive an autographed picture from Zay. Tickets are $100 each and available now. bidpal.net/holiday24. That's holiday, but switch the D out for a Z. Holiday24. next Monday night, the Holiday party. Boy, what just happened there? Everything was fine, and all of a sudden, I sound like
you mean to get you a beverage or
water? That probably is a good idea. I don't know.
any beverage?
Well, I really need a honey tea or something like that, and I don't know if we have that in the back room.
Run an errand, I guess.
I think I've got some lozenges. It just happened all of a sudden. Everything was fine. I'm like, what the hell is that? All right. There was good news, obviously, last night as the University of Maryland absolutely pantsed Ohio State. They got out to a 40-point lead and never looked back. Game that was never close whatsoever. Joining us now to tell us a little bit more about it, he was on the call for Big Ten Network. He is Jason Horowitz, and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Jason, it's Glenn. It's always great to catch up. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Sure, Glenn. How are you?
Everything is good. Obviously, it was very pleasant for Maryland fans last evening. I want to present it this way, Jason. What your expectations were going in to the game last night for Maryland, and how much a performance like that alters what you think they are versus saying, hey, it's one game, maybe we take it easy, cool our jets a little bit, and let's see how things play out in the coming weeks.
Well, let's start with the expectations first. I mean, I think Robbie Hummel and I both thought it was going to be a really good game.
Yeah.
The Big Ten started on Tuesday, and Iowa won on a buzzer beater, and Michigan held off Wisconsin and Madison by 3. I think we both thought that we were going to get a game similar to that. Ohio State's a 44% three-point shooting team, and they don't turn the ball over a ton, and Maryland's been playing better, and defense is there. But the reality was, 50-17 at the half, and seeing it up close in person, the disparity between the effort and the in-your-face defense that Maryland was playing compared to the way that Ohio State was trying to measure that, it was really shocking. Now, what does that mean for a 20-game conference schedule?
Right.
I'm not sure.
Right.
But I think Maryland, and I saw them last week, and I think the comeback against Villanova, even though Villanova's not your Jay Wright Villanova, I think there's a lot to like about this Maryland team. They're much deeper. They are a team that can get their scoring from multiple places. 5 different guys now averaging double figures. It's not just Jameer Young and throw it into Julian Reese like it was last year. It's a totally different, balanced offense, and I think that's going to bode well.
It's funny you say they're deeper, right? Because I feel like that's been one of the questions that we've had about this team is that we look and we say, hey, the top, that looks pretty good, right? Jacoby Gillespie and Rodney Rice have been great. Obviously, Derek Queen and Juju Reese. Like, there's so much to like there, but it seemed like there was a serious drop-off. I last night, Tafari Gapari, obviously, that was extraordinarily helpful. And while Deshaun Harris-Smith isn't the player that we thought he was going to be, he is giving them solid minutes as a point guard off the bench, but do they have the full depth that's necessary, to your point, in order to continue to play like this throughout the course of a 20-game conference schedule?
Well, Selton Miguel is an accomplished scorer, right? I mean, he's not someone who's going to be asked to go get them 20, but is he going to give you 12 to 15 on a regular basis? I think the answer to that is yes. And, he's a guy that has developed really well from his first couple of years at Kansas State to the point last year where he was the 6th man of the year in the American Conference. And he clearly has shown that over the last couple of games where he is a guy that can get hot. And I think he was scoreless against Villanova. And since then, it's been a different story. I don't think, Tafari Gapari is interesting. I did the Bucknell game last week where he had 19. And, I also did the game last year at Madison Square Garden when Georgia Tech beat Penn State, and he had 20. That's his career high. And I remember that game. I don't remember exactly what it was before that or after that because I didn't really pay attention to Georgia Tech. But I remember in that game, he was like, why is this guy a 4-point-a-game scorer? He's 6'9". He's the most athletic guy on the floor. He's got a good-looking shot. He can jump over the backboard. And, you're saying the same thing now over the last 8-9 days about what he's given Maryland over the last 3 games. And I think that's going to be evident. They want him to take threes. He can make the 3. Clearly, he's the most athletic guy on the floor. So I think that's your 6th guy, too. So, I realize Deshaun Harris-Smith is not the scorer that I think people thought he'd be out of high school, but he's an aggressive rebounder. He's a really solid defender. To your point about handling the basketball and being able to get some assists, I think that's solid too. I don't think they need him to score 10 to 12 points. And I think you're finding out everybody's role, and I think that's a good thing too.
Jason Horowitz is with us here on GCR. He called Maryland's 83-59 win over Ohio State last night for Big Ten Network. Jason, after the game, kind of a strange comment from Kevin Willard where he says, "Hey, don't you enjoy him now because he's going to be gone." And look, we all kind of have thought the same thing, and all of the mock drafts have said it. It's just sort of a weird thing to hear a coach say afterwards, but I get it. Let's be honest about this with Derek Queen. Where he is already at this point, and you referenced like in the Villanova game where he sort of said, "I'm going to take over. I'm going to be the alpha down the stretch, and the ball's going to go through me." It starts to make you wonder where he might be amongst the best players in the country by the time we get to the end of the season.
He's a top 10 pick. I asked Kevin Willard yesterday during shoot around, because when you watch him play, it's all under control. Nothing seems sped up. It almost seems like he's going in slow motion, and he gets to where he wants to go. And we didn't see it last night, but he's a tremendous passer. I don't know what he is after the stats last night, but going into the game last night, he was the second leader in assists. And so I think he's kind of what you think of as a traditional superstar European big man, or kind of like what Robbie said, Zach Randolph type of NBA career. He's just so under control. He can shoot from the outside. He hasn't made a three yet, but he will. He's clearly got a good jump shot from 17, 18 feet. His footwork is tremendous. His vision is out of this world. And, he's lost some weight to be a guy that can play 25 to 30 minutes a game. So he is a pro. He is absolutely a pro. I'm not a draft analyst expert guy, but he looks like a guy that will be a top 10 draft pick.
I think you're right. And boy, it's very exciting if everything can keep clicking and what this might end up being. Jason, one of the things that has been true about the Kevin Willard era at Maryland, this team has struggled on the road. And I get it, this is the Big Ten. It's not easy for anybody to win on the road, but they've particularly struggled on the road. How interested are you now in, I feel like there's this level of you just went and pantsed a pretty good team. This might be a really good team. How much does what happens on Sunday at Purdue maybe truly alter what we believe this Maryland team is capable of being, and whether we talk about them as a team that, it is viably a top 20 team, a team that, could compete for a top 4 seed type of situation in the NCAA tournament?
Well, they might be that, and they don't have to win at Purdue to make that true. Ohio State, I don't know where Jake Diebler's team is going to be when it's all said and done. They should have beaten Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is going to be an NCAA tournament team. And, they were up by 4 in overtime with 15 seconds to go. You should win that game 99 out of 100 times, and they didn't. And so, them getting pants like that, I think the number was 50-17. I believe that 33-point halftime lead, the number that we got from Maryland Stats, was that it was tied for the largest Big Ten halftime lead by any team over another since the 96-97 season. So, they won by 24, but that was not a 24-point game. They were up by 40. So I think Maryland can absolutely be a top 20, top 25 team all year long. But your question about, what happens if they win on Sunday at Purdue, I think the perception of Maryland is going to go through the roof.
Right.
You come out, you beat Ohio State the way that they beat Ohio State in the conference opener, and then they went toe-to-toe with Marquette, and you go out and you beat a legitimate top 10 team in Purdue and Mackey Arena, the expectations for this team are going to be enormous. And the other part of that, too, is, between the Purdue game and the start of conference play resuming in January, I don't know how much stake's going to be put on this game against Syracuse, because I don't think the Orange are that good.
Right.
They just got blown out at Tennessee the other day. But that's a program that, with these expectations, you're going to be expected to go to Brooklyn and, beat them by 20. So I think the ability of this team with its intensity on the defensive end can travel. So I think this team will be able to be a better road team in this conference, but the road's also different, they come back and resume conference play, and their first two games
Pacific
are
Northwest.
at Oregon, at Washington.
Right. Yeah, it's a although, as we pointed out a couple times on this show, like, I guess if you're going to have that trip, it's probably the best time to make that trip, right? Coming off the Christmas break instead of being in the middle of the throes of Big Ten season,
Yeah.
I would think.
Sure. Yeah, school hasn't restarted. And
right.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think so. And until we get a couple of years into this to see when coaches talk about, like, oh, man, I hated going out there in February. But they also might say, you know what? It's 10 degrees below zero here in Madison. I love going to UCLA.
Right. That is a little bit different. That is possibly true. Yeah, Jason, I think in general, the only thing that I'm trying to come away with is, like, do we need to calm down a little bit? Is the overall?
It's one game.
It's so much.
Of course you do, Glenn.
Yeah.
It was one game.
Yeah. I know that's true, but boy, let us have our fun, right? Like, that's where we are. Is just
that
boy,
was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. And you know what? And I think this is the other part too. And I didn't grow up I grew up in Michigan, and
right.
My brother went to Michigan State when Mateen Cleaves and Morris Peterson won the national title, and I grew up more of a Michigan fan as a kid, and then I went to Syracuse. I think fan bases get spoiled with success, and then they it's also a harder thing to get them back. And the student section was raucous last night. I don't know what it sounded like on TV, but it was, they're right on top of you there. They're right behind you. It was loud. But if this team gets going, I would very much expect when January comes around and Big Ten play resumes to have massive crowds for some of those games against Wisconsin, and when Michigan State comes in February, and I don't think Purdue is one of the games that they have doubles with, but whoever they get back, there's going to be some massive crowds for Maryland if they are this good.
Jason Horowitz, I know you are a busy man. What is on the docket for you the rest of this week?
I have a second grade baseball coaches meeting tonight.
Hell yeah. That's the big one.
And then
wait a second. Where are you that they're playing? Are you in Vegas? Are they playing baseball in December?
No, I live in New Jersey. I grew up in Michigan. We lived in New York City for 14 years, and we live in New Jersey. It's why Big Ten Network keeps me. I'm up and down the corridor. I do a lot at Maryland, Rutgers, and Penn State.
Yeah, it works out for you. Wait, so why are you doing a baseball meeting in December?
Don't ask. The town we live in is way too. What we as adults have done in child sports is awful, and the only reason I'm attending this meeting is to be like, yo, guys, they're 7 and 8. They don't need year-round practices.
We'll be all right.
I think I'll be out. I'll be vetoed.
We can make that commitment at some point, dude. Shouldn't they be playing other? I've got a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old right now. My 9-year-old is baseball, basketball, soccer, right? And like my head just spins, spins.
Well, my 11-year-old, she was a travel softball player and decided that this summer she doesn't want to play anymore, and I'm totally supportive of it. But it's because she doesn't like how competitive they were at the end of elementary school. And again, it's elementary school, and I'm with her on that. I am, I think, a moving minority in a country that is all about youth sports. Sports are wonderful, but what we as adults are doing to youth sports is disastrous.
You're right. You're 100% right. Horowitz Jason, that's how you follow him. Jason Horowitz, really appreciate you, man. Hopefully we'll be talking again as you're on another game later on this season. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Take care.
Jason Horowitz with us after Maryland pounds Ohio State last night. It was great. It was awesome. It was dominant. It was never competitive. And it shows you what Maryland is capable of being at their best. Is that what Maryland is? Kind of still remains to be seen. I think it's one of those, enjoy it. I don't think you start assuming that they're a Final Four team. I think you need to sort of enjoy it and see. I think they're a team that has a lot of potential and a lot of upside. But they've got to prove that they can handle the rigors of conference play, and then maybe the bullseye being on them a little bit more. There's still a lot to prove for this team, but there is every reason to be excited about their potential. I think that's the fairest way that I can possibly say it. All right. When we come back in, we're going to talk a little more Justin Tucker. Former Ravens special teams coordinator Gary Zauner is going to join us next. Don't forget, championship weekend gets underway tonight in Annapolis. First Maryland public school title will be handed out as Mervo plays North Point. You want to find out everything you need to know about championship weekend. Who's playing, when, what the road to the final, the championship was. Go to countysports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com, and it's got everything you need to know for championship weekend this weekend in Annapolis. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Pressbox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay or Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Don't forget that the print issue of Press Box, we're just talking about Maryland basketball. You want to learn a little bit more about Derek Queen and Juju Reese. You're starting to get on the bandwagon. You're starting to be fired up about Terps hoops. We'll find out more about this Baltimore-built duo that is reunited after being teammates once upon a time at St. Francis. Great cover story from Brooks DuBose inside this print issue of Press Box, which is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of those hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox, and you can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Print issue of PressBox available right now. Go pick it up today. And then be prepared, because we are only like a week or two away from the new print issue of PressBox, our annual best of issue, hitting newsstands. We are putting the finishing touches on that one, including our annual Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year. We are looking forward to that being out there shortly. I feel like there was, not a whole lot percolating related to the Orioles. I know there's rumors every day. Corbin Burns met with the Yankees, met with the Blue Jays, If I had to guess, Corbin Burns isn't going to be a Baltimore Oriole next season, but there's nothing new about that. I've thought that the entire time. I've assumed that Corbin Burns was not going to be a Baltimore Oriole, so it won't stun me if that's the case. Would it be, particularly painful for him to be pitching for another AL East team next season? Yeah, that would be particularly painful. That's sort of how it works. I think there is it's funny because I'm trying to remember who I was talking about this with. And I apologize that I've forgotten about. We had this conversation over the weekend, which is there's a consternation amongst Orioles fans of just do something. And it's a bit more unique than the do something feeling of the last few years. It's more unique because now we're asking you to do something to fortify what we believed was going to be an era of change within this organization. We're starting to wonder if it's not just business as usual. If all of that hope that we had when this new ownership group came in and invested nearly $2 billion, we're starting to wonder if there really is going to be change, or if it's just going to be business as usual. And if so, those positive feelings, those warm fuzzies, they start to go away a little bit. I'm not prepared to say that at all. The free agency's barely begun. Like 2 guys have signed to this point. I'm certainly not going to get worked up about Frankie Montas not being a Baltimore Oriole. But I get that there is a feeling that goes beyond the feeling of the last couple of years. The last couple of years is do something because we think this team is close. And we think a move or two could help put them over the top. And that part of it still exists. Like, they still need help. And on top of that are slated to lose not just potentially Corbin Burns, but Anthony Santander. But it's a step beyond that. We also just want to see that this really is going to be a different era, the way that we thought that it was going to be a different era. We don't want it to be we don't want it to be in on season. Orioles are in on Max Fried. They're in on. We want to see that there's something different. That the change in ownership really has meant something more aggressive in pursuit of winning a World Series, while you have this core of players that you believe you can win a World Series with. And will that end up being the case? Remains to be seen. Don't know. I can't fathom them not spending money on anyone this offseason. That would be crazy. But they got to prove it, clearly. And I get why that has added a level of consternation to this fan base. Do something because we need to help the baseball team, but also do something to fortify my belief that things actually are different. And I think that's the feeling that a lot of Orioles fans are dealing with at the moment. All right, one of the feelings that we've been dealing with as Ravens fans is, what the hell's happened here? And, of course, the struggles of Justin Tucker have been prominent as he sits at about 70% and is missing extra points on top of it after being, the greatest kicker in NFL history. I want to try to get some more perspective. So joining us now, someone that I've always appreciated conversations with, very thoughtful football man. He is former Ravens special teams coordinator, Mr. Gary Zauner, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Gary, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to catch up with you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Well, thank you, Glenn. Just by the way, I think I hope we have a good connection here. You sound a little scratchy on your end.
You sound great to me. I hear you just fine. Do you hear me okay?
Well, it's like I said, it's a little muffly and scratchy, but as long as you can hear me.
I hear you perfectly, but my producer is going to try to check something real quick and see if we can improve it. So hang on 1 second, Coach. Gary Zauner with us here on GCR. We're going to see if we can't clean that up, and definitely want him to be able to hear the questions that I'm asking, or else it can potentially become uncomfortable in the process. We'll see how that plays out. Just a real quick reminder, no Project Game Day this week, as obviously the Ravens are off. We will be back together next Sunday immediately following Ravens-Giants. PressBoxOnline.com/game day. Myself, Rita, Femi, Casey, Stecca, the whole crew, back together, brought to you by Easy Pass, Hartford Holidays, 1-800-GAMBLER, and the Governor's Challenge. All right, we can try this one more time. Coach, is that any better at all?
No, it's okay.
All right.
I guess as long as you
we hear you
can hear
perfect,
me, I'll
loud
try to
and
answer your
clear,
question.
crystal clear. We hear you, Coach. Couldn't be any better. Coach, I'm not sure how much you've been able to pay attention and how much you've been able to watch. We are panicked because the greatest kicker of all time suddenly can't make a kick. I ask, have you seen anything? Have you anything that you've noticed in the struggles of Justin Tucker this season?
Well, I don't watch every game, but like I said, he's one of the all-time great kickers. He's got a great kicking coach in Randy Brown and his head coach. Harbaugh is a great advocate of the kicking game. They're probably looking at it the same way. But with all the great kickers I've ever had, it still comes down to their confidence, their mechanics. And just like golf, sometimes guys will struggle, for whatever period of time, but they've got to work it out. I just remember working with Gary Anderson, and he always went by feel. He says something feels a little off. Mike Vanderjack the same, and Adam Vinatieri, they would be kicking. So I think it comes down to, Justin Tucker just figuring out on his own what's wrong. Now, I don't know if he's hurt. Sometimes, like I worked with Kevin Butler a long time ago, and he was, kicking differently. And I just looked at the way he used to kick and the way he was kicking, and I just said, is there something wrong? And he had a hip problem. So he changed his swing. And so, like golf, you can keep playing at a high level, but, things will change. And all I try to do is when I get a kicker that's a little off, I look at when they're kicking great and just put them back the way they used to be, because they're the guys that have to kick, and they should have that feel. So go ahead.
Well, Coach, I wonder because there's this belief that some people have of, but you can't change it right now. I wonder what you make. Is it possible for a kicker who's struggling like this to just wake up one day in the middle of a season and everything to be fixed and to go back to normal in the middle of a year?
Well, like I said, it's if you're a great kicker, you just got to get yourself back the way, you were kicking. Now, several weeks ago, the University of Washington called me, and I went in, and their kicker missed 3 field goals against Rutgers and lost. And I went in, and I basically told them, I said, you can't just basically change. Now, in his case, I looked at the way he was kicking and the way he kicked the year before, which he had a great year, and I just showed him how he had changed. Now, only Justin Tucker and his coach can look at that and say, it looks like there's a little something different. Now, when I've watched him kick a lot, and I've tried to study a lot of kickers, it just looks like something's a little off on his finish. So I always, as a kicking coach, and I've coached a lot of great kickers, and like when I was working with Brandon Aubrey 3 years ago, he was finishing a little more left, and well, in his drills he pushed balls, and when he kicked he pulled balls. Now having a two-way miss is not good, so we just figured out how to get where he started, his what I call perfect plan, and finishing downfield the same way. And I always believe Justin Tucker really finished downfield really, really well. But again, just watching on TV and they kind of follow the ball and not the kick, something looked a little off as I was watching it last week. Okay. Now, I'm just going to bring this up, and it's away from Justin Tucker. But it's what I told somebody a long time, before the season started. Larry Izzo called me and asked me, he said, Gary, how are you going to coach this new kickoff rule? I said, well, I hate the new kickoff rule. But now I said to him, I think kickers this year, their percentages are going to go down. And he says, well, why do you think that? I said, do you know any golfer that's going to practice missed hitting balls? Okay, and the way I look at it, and what guys were telling me, and we were still trying to figure out what we were going to do on those kickoffs, well, they're going to try to come up and miss hit it over here. They're going to miss hit it over there. They're going to squib kick it. They're going to line drive kick it. Now, I don't know any golfer that practices miss hitting. Now, they have specialty shots, but again, if you practice it too much, you're changing your swing. You're changing your perfect swing. So in the good old days, you practice hit your field goals and kick off as far as you can, and it was all hitting the sweet spot of the ball. And to me, it's now practicing mishitting the ball. And so I've seen more kickers. Now, you might not know, but I've seen more kickers being injured, putting on injured reserve, bringing in different kickers. And again, that's all part of their job description is kick field goals. But okay, on Friday, we're going to practice mishitting the ball before the game. Rather than kicking the ball deep, we're going to, for this game plan, they got a great returner. We're going to mishit the ball right. We're going to line drive it down the middle. We're going to see what I'm getting to? And so, but I don't know what the Ravens game, I haven't watched enough of their games, but I said this generally to all the kickers in the league. I just thought that what they're doing in the kicking game, the leagues, what the league is doing is causing the kickers to practice some bad muscle memory.
It's interesting.
And so, now, that's just my thought. I could be right, I could be wrong, I don't know, but I'm seeing a lot of kickers not kicking the way they normally kick, and I see a lot of kickers being put a couple weeks on injured reserve. I mean, it is what it is. So, somebody would have to do a study on it, but this is as I watch around the league and I see people putting on injured reserve.
So let me ask you two questions then, Coach. Would you encourage more teams to try to have someone else take the kickoffs?
Say that again?
Would you encourage teams to have someone else take the kickoffs?
Well, that would be great. Something. But they only got one kicker.
Right.
And the problem you run into, and I just went over this with another guy that was trying to figure out stats. I said, and again, I think it all comes down to the league. The league has gone to saving money, and the people that get always hurt are the specialists because they don't feel they are football players. So I just, if you look at the rosters, they're trying to save the rosters, the 90 rule. So they don't bring in two kickers, they don't bring in two punters, they don't bring in two snappers. Like in the good old days, everybody brought in two to save the veteran kicker's leg or the punter or whatever. And they use the guys in preseason. Now, the veterans are playing in the third and fourth preseason game, if they're playing the fourth game. But they're having to take all the reps. Now, I brought this up to all the special teams coaches when they came to my free agent combine. Why don't you just have a 90 rule for all the players? Okay, you bring in all their football players, and you have an exemption for the 6 guys. And that way you have 2 kickers, 2 punters, 2 snappers, and you're developing a guy, or he's also taking reps, and you're saving your precious veteran. Now, Wherever I've been, I had Gary Anderson, who was older, so we always brought in 2, and I had a punter that could kick off.
Mm-hmm.
When I came to Baltimore, we had Matt Stover. I brought in a kickoff specialist. Okay.
Right.
We had
Wade
for a
Ritchie,
little
yep.
bit.
Yep, I remember that.
But I mean, but that's getting back to what you said. So, but it always comes down to roster spots.
Yep. No, I think it's an interesting question that maybe that they need to think about, and as they try to solve this problem, and is there a value in that?
When I brought up the 6, roster spots or exemptions for the kickers, all the special teams coaches says, "Hey, that's a great idea, but the owners won't go for it."
Yeah, it's just not going to happen
because of money. I said, "You're talking what, for an extra room or 2 at a hotel or or at the university?" And some meals, and then you're paying these kickers $4, $5, $6 million. You can't afford to get them hurt. And what if you lose a game because of the kicking game? Well, how much does that cost the organization? So again, I've been one of the biggest advocates of the kicking game because I worked with an all-time great, George Allen. And my whole life's been for the kicking game. So I look at it completely different. Owners look at it as money. Teams look at it as money. But like right now, fans only care about winning, and so because they love their team. And right now, you got a great kicker, who's I guess he has to be struggling.
No doubt.
What did he miss? He missed 2 field goals and an extra point.
Yep, correct. Gary, if I could, one more before we let you go, and we really appreciate the insight. An argument that again, the unknowledged are making is that Justin Tucker's just reached an age at 35 where he's not physically the same. And when I hear that, I say, what are you talking about? That kickers kick until their 40s. What do you make of the possibility that this is natural, that Justin Tucker's into his mid-30s and he's not physically the same and may never be the same because of that?
Well, I don't believe that. I think any great kicker, just like golfers, they have a problem. Again, I don't know if it's an injury, whatever it is. So, like I said, I've always videotaped guys. You look at them, but just like quarterbacks, you get to a certain age and, a new guy comes in, just like Justin Tucker came in and Billy Cundiff was there, and Billy had just gone to the Pro Bowl. And, he took over his job. So the NFL is all about production, winning. And so I just think that this is just one of those things that all kickers or people go through. Mason Crosby, he missed 5. I think he missed 5 field goals in one game. But again, he might have had a touch of the flu. He might have been not feeling good, whatever it is. So I think Justin Tucker, as great as he is, will turn this thing around and be his good old self. And he'll be winning games and making those kicks.
I hope that you are correct about that, Coach. That would mean a lot here in Baltimore. Coach Gary Zauner, really appreciate the insight. Thank you for spending a couple of minutes with us this morning. We'd love to do this again.
All right. You take care, and I love being there in Baltimore.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Coach Gary Zauner making the argument that maybe now look, the obvious response would be, hey, not every kicker is struggling. Chris Boswell surely isn't being impacted by the new kickoff. Other kickers are having no problem whatsoever with their kickoffs. So, it's certainly, to make it a blanket statement that it's hurting kicking, yes, on the whole, percentages are down this season and have gone down more as the season goes on. And maybe that says teams have been experimenting more with what they're doing with kickoffs. You could try to draw that correlation, but not for everyone. But if there's any chance that that's what's happening here, then yeah, sure, maybe find out if Jordan Stout can handle the kickoffs. Trying to protect the most significant part of Justin Tucker's value. I'll listen to anything at the moment. I'll hear any theory, any scenario, any of them to try to get this fixed. And if there's a possibility that there's a correlation between the two, let Jordan Stout handle it or bring in somebody else that's your kickoff guy, as we talked about yesterday. Just put another kicker on the roster. I can live with that. I can do that. Yes, it's going to hurt somewhere. There's no doubt about it, but it's something I'm willing to do. All right, hour number 1 of today's show is in the books. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I want to tell you a little bit more about the Governor's Challenge. The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wacomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org. That's gov, G-O-V, govchallenge.org. For the Governor's Challenge, just truly a world-class event and one of the best events in the entire country, frankly, when it comes to big-time high school basketball competition. Coming up a little bit later on this month down in Salisbury. Man, it's creeping up again. I don't know what's going on there, but I got 8 more basketball games to call this week, so I'm going to need it to hold off. Going to need to get that fixed. What's going on, man? Want to take a break? Okay, take a break. We'll come back in. We'll chat with Qadry Ismail next. Glenn Clark Radio. Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Brooks Dubose profiles Maryland basketball forwards Derek Queen and Julian Reese as the Baltimore-built duo reunites in College Park with hopes of bringing the Terps back to prominence. Also inside, meet college basketball players from all of the area's D1 programs. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores, where you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR. Yes, yesterday, the University of Maryland, not only the big basketball game last night, but on the football front, signed a top 25 rated class, including Malik Washington, the Archbishop Spalding quarterback, who there had been some, concern, I guess, about perhaps being pried away elsewhere by NIL money that Maryland simply doesn't have. But he does indeed commit and is headed to Maryland. There was, during the day, a little bit of concern about a four-star offensive lineman, Jalen Gilchrist, who hadn't immediately signed, but he ultimately signs as well. So good news on that front and reason for excitement. They've got a lot more work, clearly, that they have to do in order to get things going ahead of next season. Joining us now here on GCR, one of our favorites, Super Bowl 35 champion, WJZ 13 is where you see him. He's our buddy Qadry Ismail, and he's back with us this morning here on GCR. Qadry, it's Glenn. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Man, I'm thinking I was going to be enjoying the bye week a little bit better than what we are doing now, but here we are.
So, all right, this is the question that I find myself asking. If I'm a teammate of Diontae Johnson, and he's not willing to go into a football game, no matter what the circumstances are, whether it's the first play of the game, whether it's the last play of the game, whether it's how could I want that guy on my team? Like, how could my response be anything other than one game suspension? Dude, why is that guy on the team? Like, what would your reaction be if you were on the team and someone pulled this?
I think the mindset is this. If you understand professional football, you recognize there are so many different guys with so many different personalities, and some of those personalities just don't vibe with what you are about. However, the common thing is the common thing: winning, trying to play your best, having a proper mindset of showing up every time, working hard as a team. And so if you have that and you are willing to put forth the effort, then all right, hallelujah, let's do this. But if you are selfish and narcissistic and it's all about you and you don't have that mindset, then that's where I think the toxic energy can build up and cause guys to kind of question the whole thing of the team, which then spirals into losing. And then that's where general managers get fired, head coaches get fired, ownership starts wondering what's going on, and then you look like the Jets.
Right. You become an unmitigated disaster. This is where goes into a juice squeeze conversation for me, right? Like Diontae Johnson hasn't been all that helpful, and that's not the end of the world. That it was a flyer that they took on him. They didn't really trade all that much for him. I'm not bothered by that part of it. It's if this is what you're dealing with, how could it possibly be worth it to hold? What is the upside here to continue to hold on to the guy?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we're in the building, we're gonna get an understanding of what really is going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We're not. We just know that this guy has had a history of being disgruntled.
Right.
We know at the same time, he's a talented receiver, talent that clearly they feel is worth keeping, and they feel that he can help them win games. How mentally does he do that? How can that translate over into good locker room attitude? That remains to be seen. That's something that we just don't know.
No, I hear you, man. This is a tough one for me. Like, if this was a more accomplished player, I'd be like, all right, I get it. Like, maybe it's a bad day. It's just somebody that's done nothing. It's hard for me to justify it. Like, I come away from it saying, like, he might not be the worst human being alive, but how is it worth it to be putting up with this? That's just what I'm struggling with, man.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, I think it's an interesting dynamic, locker room politics, team dynamics, playing time, coaching, vibing, not vibing. It's really interesting, and I think for Diontae, because he's had a history of this, the Ravens had to have known going in, doing their due diligence before they pulled the trigger, and here we are. Unfortunately, he is what he is.
No, 100%. Yeah, this can't be all that surprising. I guess I should boil it down to, like, it feels to me like an unwillingness to go. I don't want to try to compare it to the military because that's not the way. But, like, if you're not willing to step up and serve, like, if you're – it feels like that should be almost like a scarlet letter. And I guess is the answer that it's not quite that simple, that this is something you can't come back from not going on the field?
I mean, you can come back from anything. You go up and show contrite spirit, and you are saying, look, I am a team player, and then you just go and ball out. I mean, all is forgiven in that regards. But if you keep doing the same thing and guys are seeing that you haven't really changed, then, yeah, there needs to be a decision made to get rid of him.
Qadry Ismail with us here on GCR. Qadry, it feels like, the Ravens fans, their reaction is, wow, this on top of everything that you already dealt with this season with Eddie Jackson and that you already dealt with this season with Marcus Williams away from the field. Boy, this is really un-Ravens-like, and this doesn't have the feel of what a championship team is. Are we painting with too broad of strokes? Would you tell us, look, there's stuff like this on every football team, good and bad. There's too many players for not to be individual clashes or issues during the course of a season?
Well, I will tell you, the biggest thing that coaches have to overcome is managing all those different personalities and making it all gel and making it all go. And when you have good leadership within the locker room and guys are on the same page and there's a camaraderie there, there's a love for one another there, it works. When it's not, it's ugly. And then the finger pointing, then the losing, then the flat out toxic energy. Little things, whether it be, I'm not saying this is Diontae, I'm just saying so
right.
The listeners can understand, whether it be, gambling, whether it be, fooling around with, a significant other, whether it be, sitting there and clubbing and hanging out at the crack of dawn, all those different, things, and it goes on every single year. But the ones that can kind of manage those distractions, manage the off-field drama, those teams are the ones that usually come out ahead because they have a singular focus. And I think for what, you're looking at with Diontae, Marcus, Eddie, I think you're looking at strong personality men who, for whatever reason, can't put their egos aside. And that's what I think is the elephant in the room.
Is it unfair to ask whether there's a leadership issue within this football team? And I'm not even just saying like coaches, but even within the veterans on the roster. Is that a fair question to ask given all of this?
I mean, the question could be asked for sure. It's just the way it is. I mean, I think when you see the bigger picture, it's what is leadership? I mean, I look at our 2000 team, sure, Brian sets the standard. Then you look at, all right, who's in the locker room? It's Ed Reed, or not Ed Reed, excuse me. It's Rod Woodson. It's, Ray Lewis. It's Shannon Sharp. It's, Tony Saragusa. But you have a guy like a Rob Burnett that you don't realize. You have a Sam Gash that you don't realize. You have a Trent Dilfer that you don't realize. You have, a Qadry Ismail that you don't realize. You got your bigger known leaders, but then you have, other leaders, other lieutenants that, they all gel and understand to allow, things to be good. So when, Chris McAllister wants to be Chris McAllister, you got a James Trapp to kind of, show him, hey man, I've been where you at. Here's some of the things that can go on. Or when, you need, guys to settle in, a Patrick Johnson being Patrick Johnson, then there's not a yelling. It's a Qadry Ismail, just talk to him about his experiences. Those are the things that none of us realize or none of us see within the Ravens locker room. I mean, you just name the stars, but just because they're a star, that doesn't mean they're a good leader. So you got to see what the inner workings are. Is it, through the lens of Hard Knocks? Who knows? Right. Is it the lens of a Ravens Wired episode? Who knows? But you really don't get a full picture of everything unless you're inside the locker room.
All right. Well, on to all the other pleasant things, like Justin Tucker's still not making a kick. What does this look like? Like, is because he Justin Tucker, is there maybe more faith? Do you feel like guys would say, look, we're not going to lose our minds about this. We're not going to start screaming. We got to get this guy off the team. He's Justin. We believe in him. Or given this is costing them games at this point, what does this now look like for a football team?
Yeah, I know it's such a delicate situation. It's uncharted territory when you have, a guy that for literally over a decade, when it came to harsh weathers, harsh conditions, perfect conditions in a dome, no matter what the circumstance was, you can always rely on number 9. And just money. I've been there when I was a part of the Ravens broadcast where I'd literally stand right under the uprights. He's about to kick a game winner in Pittsburgh, and it's like, yep, here we go. Mm-hmm. And talking to him before the game, just saying how the field is pregame, field is during the very first portion of the first quarter compared to halftime, compared to late in the game, compared to what time of day it is, like all those things, you just see it. And then all of a sudden the ball goes to the uprights. You're like, yep, that's why he's Justin Tucker. He just factors all those different things in and he just makes it. Now it's like, it's weird because you just got so accustomed to Justin being Justin. And now we're looking at it and we're trying to figure out, what the actual issue is to see how it can be remedied and fixed.
Would you be inclined to keep riding it out? Like, do you feel like they're handling it the right way?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. Because, okay, you have this situation. Who is who's the replacement? Right. I mean, that's right. That's what you're asking. Like, who's the replacement? And or is it fixable? Is it a situation where, Lamar goes on, a run where he has some interceptions and then you figure it out and it's like, oh, okay, cool. This is what happened. Blah, blah, blah. So-and-so, Marlon Humphreys, he has issues with his techniques and keeps getting pass interference calls on him and, dropping interceptions. Okay, well, we got to figure it out. It's upper tier players who have kind of earned the right of the benefit of the doubt to repair what is going on before you just totally disregard them. I tend to agree with you, and I think that the point that you make about what is the alternative is where I'm at. Where this is not something that you can solve this late in the season. Like, these guys that are on the street for a reason. But boy, the flip side being, if it continues to cost you games, it could be the thing that ends up ruining the season. It is, to your point, it's a very difficult spot to be in. Qadry, as if all of that wasn't enough, 2 of the last 3 weeks have been the 2 worst offensive outputs of the season for the Ravens in the games against the Steelers and the Eagles. What are you seeing? Do you think it's an anomaly? Do you think that, hey, this is still Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, they're going to be just fine? Or are there bigger issues, say, the play of the interior offensive line that genuinely concern you related to the offense? Yeah, like holy Kevin Zeitler, Batman. Like there is like issues along the offensive line that when they're really, really good, you cannot stop this ball club, because then that's where, yes, the Derrick Henrys of the world, the Lamar Jacksons, all those things, that just gels. However, when it goes south and it's ugly, and you have this whether it be penalties, whether it be just flat out whiffs or missed assignments, all those things in every loss this year has shown up. The penalties, the poor technique, and the poor execution all have shown up. That's the one common factor that you can look at to say, why did the Ravens lose? And you point to that reason, period.
Can it still be fixed? I guess that's the question, right? Like, we're 14 weeks into the season now, Qadry. Like, is there still time to get it figured out?
There's always time, especially when you have a winning record, especially when you have the talent and leadership on both sides of the ball. There's always time. However, the intensity and the margin for error just closed dramatically.
Yeah.
You don't have that luxury of dropping another game. You don't have the luxury of, play by play, the process of it all. You don't have the luxury of taking one situation or scenario for granted.
Well, other than that, though, everything's great, right? It's like
they're 8-5. You could be, like
true.
I said, you could be the Jets. You could be Cleveland. You could be the Raiders. You could be the Dolphins. You could be Cincinnati.
Wait, I was about to do the bit where I said, all the teams that beat the Ravens this season? That's where you're going. But I get it. I know what you're saying. I know that's true. All right, you want to remind everybody about missile training?
MissileTraining.com is where you're going to find me. You, whether you're 6, whether you're 85, the clientele, whether you are an athlete, whether you're just a person trying to look to improve your movement, that is what I do. MissileTraining.com is where you'll find me, and let's dialogue and have a discussion on how we can help you on your health and wellness and sports performance journey.
And at I am Qadry Ismail, of course, as well. Qadry, always appreciate you, brother. Let's talk again soon. Thank you for doing it.
Yep, my pleasure. Thank you.
Qadry Ismail with us here on GCR. I think that he and I are speaking about the same language when it comes to Diontae Johnson, right? Like, what the part of it that we don't know probably is a factor. None of it is a defense. It's funny because when I said earlier in the show, dude, who's defending Diontae Johnson? I had a couple of people reach out to me with some tweets. Just like,
you mean the people with no profile picture and
I don't know. Some of them appear to be real people, but it's such an extreme minority that it's people that are saying things for attention. This is not it's not like there's some actual debate in Baltimore about whether or not it's okay that Diontae Johnson came off the field. You're giving a loud voice to a small group of people that desperately want attention. People that have decided that they can get internet attention by being the people that just hate John Harbaugh. That'll get me attention if I just do that. So whenever anything happens, I'm going to just do the bit where I say, well, this is John Harbaugh's fault. You're giving an extraordinary voice to a small group of people because, again, we want to create controversy. I can get attention. How dare you defend Diontae Johnson? Nobody's really doing that. You're fighting with two people that are doing it for the sake of it. They're not real. They're trolls. Everyone recognizes it's not okay. There's no debate that's happening. There's no, well, this city is torn. No, we all know it's not okay for a football player to say, I'm not going into the game. We all recognize that. Again, to the point where the only real conversation is, should he still be on the team? That's the actual debate that you could have. And even that, is a leading question because The greater numbers would be on the side of no. But to Qadry's point, and I said this before, if, after the game, if the difference between the way that John Harbaugh responded on Sunday and Monday and the statement that was ultimately released on Wednesday was that Diontae Johnson did get in front of everybody and Diontae Johnson did say, I effed up here, guys, and I'm sorry. And that whatever the leadership structure is among the players said, we're inclined, we want to give him a chance, we believe him. That's a different conversation. And they're going to choose to not talk about it. That's what they said. And maybe that will be the case. Maybe they will be able to keep all of that internal. And if it is, and they think they can overcome it, then so be it. But if it's anything other than that, nonsense, poppycock. Like, if he hasn't done that, then there ain't no way that he could be on my team. No chance. And again, it does matter that he's Diontae Johnson. Like, if he was Jamar Chase, and I get it, there'd be no world in which Jamar Chase would pull something like this, but if he was, and he did this, you'd definitely be inclined to consider it in a different way. But, dude, even if he was conciliatory, even if he did go in for, I would still be like, is it worth it? I would still have that feeling because it's Diontae Johnson. It is Thursday, which unfortunately means that we have to make picks.
Well, not unfortunate for all of us.
I would quite prefer that we didn't. Joining us now, he is our buddy Ken Zalis. He's part of Project Game Day, and he's back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, buddy?
How you doing?
I don't know. The Ravens
are
on a bye. Yeah, the Ravens are on a bye this week, and it still feels like they're losing.
Well, I mean,
God, man.
The way to look at it is at least this is all happening during a bye week, and they don't have to prepare for a game.
I guess that's a way of looking at it, except that, it's not going to go away. Like, when they say, hey, this is all we're going to the notion that this isn't still going to be a conversation next week or the week after that, if Diontae Johnson is still on the team after his one-game suspension, that they're not going to be talking, is everything good here? Like, this isn't going away. And for a guy who's a zero.
I don't understand the conversation. I mean, look, if you talk to anyone around the league when the Ravens made the trade, like, it's a zero trade. They didn't give up anything. They changed the pick. He had worn out his welcome already in Carolina, and they were ready to get rid of him. They gave him away for a guy that, say what you want to say, was semi-productive in their terrible offense at that point. He was putting up some, he was double-digit targets, 6-7 catches a week. He had a couple, and a guy that we saw showed, various levels of success in Pittsburgh, but he worn out his welcome there, where they didn't have a replacement for him when they said, no, we're good, and got rid of him. They still really haven't found that second receiver to George Pickens since he left. He's a royal pain in the ass. He's known that way around the league, and it was a nothing trade, and he's turned out to be a royal pain in the ass here. I hope the Ravens just bench him the rest of the way. I don't want them to cut him.
But that's the issue. That's the issue. Why?
Because I hope there's a fool out there. They'll give him a 2-year, $15 million contract, and they'll get a comp pick out.
Yeah, if any part of this thought is related to comp picks, then just blow up the organization. And I mean that with respect to you. I mean that if you're making personnel decisions based on the idea of getting a late round comp pick, then we got to stop.
You're benching 4 guys a week anyway.
I understand that, but
it's a nothing for me. I mean, who's the guy you're signing to take his role on the roster? No one. Unless it's a second kicker, then we can have a discussion.
Yeah. By the way, that might be the place where you're finding a roster spot for a second.
That was
kicker.
A pretty good tie to round that onto a nice bow.
No. This is my issue with Diontae Johnson. If he's gone in front of the team and he's apologized and all that, whatever. But if he's not doing that stuff, I'm not. It ain't.
Even if he is, I don't care.
No, I wouldn't care. I'm telling you, he's so little to me that if he did all that stuff, I still would have a consideration to just release the guy. But any notion that I'm making a decision, and I saw this all over Twitter yesterday, that like, well, maybe you could still get they don't want to release him because they could still get a pick. What are we talking about? What is a 2? By the way, at this point, no effing chance someone's giving him a 2-year deal. It ain't happening. Like, it's so far out the window that anybody could have had him for a song at the trade deadline, and they said no. There's no world in which he's getting a real contract in the offseason. He might get a 1-year prove-it deal from someone. You're talking about a 7th-round pick? Get the entire F out of here. If that's where we are, that's how you're making decisions, then there is no purpose to any of this. Like, stop.
Eric DaCosta loves his picks.
I know he loves these picks. We have to be the ones to say that's insanity. Well, it's insanity.
Look, I'm just saying if you wanted a reason to keep him.
That's not a reason to keep him. That is absolutely either you think he can help your football team.
We've been around the Ravens long enough to know how much they.
And if that's the case, we have to say that's not
okay. I'm willing to say it.
It's not okay for you to think. And by the way, it's not even a certainty you can get that, because that's how damaged goods this dude is at this point. Like, the more likely scenario.
You're going to get the things. The word is going to be when he goes out, no matter what he does, it's going to be like, well, if you can't if you weren't out your welcome in 2 of the better organizations in the National Football League, like, who really wants you?
Correct.
And
again,
whatever
everyone had a
Pittsburgh,
chance to have him. Everyone had the shot to have him for nothing at the deadline. The notion that suddenly there's going to be this like, oh, well, we didn't want him then, but now we love Diontae. Now that he refused to go into a football game, we've got to give that guy some money. Stop. Like, it's over.
I'll actually be disappointed if they don't cut him. You refuse to go in a football game. What makes
me?
I don't care how much you apologize for it.
It's very much, to me, it would be a code red. I recognize that, like, there can be circumstances by which, if the leadership structure that you have in place for a team, whatever that group of guys is, and I don't know because I'm not on the, once they used to call it the council, whatever it is, if they've got a group of guys that they go to as leaders, and that group of guys said, we talked to him, we still think this guy can help us, we want him on the team, then I can default to that, right? Like, I can default to, my opinion is no, but I'll default to it. But anything other than that, not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell that this guy's on the team for even one more day.
I just want to see him run around and not fall down.
That'd be nice. I'd settle for that. I would settle for that. All right, let's get into picks. Picks are a mess. Picks are a disaster. They're awful. I would like to.
I don't want to make any picks. Just put me down the opposite of Glenn.
I understand that. I'm somehow trying to figure out if I can do the bit.
Well, I go 2-7 last week.
Just shut up.
Like last week was a layup.
Just shut up. I'm trying to figure out if I can do it a bit where I can make the opposite pick of myself. I'm trying to figure out if that's possible, but I'm afraid because normally the way the picks go, I don't commit to anything. I do the bit where we get to the show and I work through my head and I just say something. And then the answer should be, well, you should put more effort into it. Maybe, but I'm going to screw that up too. It's just all a disaster.
Well, how do we know if you don't?
1 week, I let the public make the picks. And that was wrong.
Well, you're supposed to stick with it.
I have a theory. You're just tired of it, and the only way to end this segment forever is to lose the league.
You think I'm doing the Andrew Stecca bit? That's what you think I'm doing?
This is the best segment we do.
I am sick of picks. I gotta be honest with you. I am sick of it. Like, I feel like this
might be my favorite segment.
The real reason we do it is to keep us invested in other things that are going on. Like, in fairness, I guess I would do that anyway in the NFL because of fantasy. College football, I would not be as invested in what's going on. If
we should change it to player props over under, so people can do things like the over under games that are all around the internet.
I guess. I don't know. There's
a good idea.
You're asking us to put way more effort into things. And Ken, you've been around long enough to know.
Everyone's going to get pissed off doing that because we're going to say Christian McCaffrey over under 90 receiving rushing yards.
Hurt. But then somebody would say the same thing about that. To me, that's part of the reason why I picked San Francisco to cover last week is because of Christian McCaffrey. And I get it.
Those are losing picks all
the time. Well, you look great.
You're going to say whatever you're going to say, and I understand that. But they did methodically move the ball down the field to start the game with Christian McCaffrey on the field.
Can I just tell you, in the fantasy world, in the internet world that I live in when I'm watching games, like well-respected people were like, "Oh, this looks like the Christian McCaffrey of old."
100%. It
I
did.
was like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah.
And I actually went for it in a league and traded for him, like
Oof.
because I thought he would come back at some point.
Oof.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is what I traded for." It's like, okay, that lasted long. One of those, and it's gone.
It's what it is. All right, let's get into it. Let's make picks for the week. I'm at the bottom of the table by 3 games now. There is now separation at the bottom of the table, and Paul Valley's got to be feeling good at the top of the table. Ryan has a 2-game lead on both KZ and John in Little Rock, so still a lot to be determined there, and I guess I could still work my way out of the hole, but I don't feel good. I am starting to already prepare for sardine fruitcake. I am just, and God, I can't even, getting waxed. Oh! God, this is going to suck.
You got time,
This is going to suck. 3 college
You're like
games.
Justin Tucker right now.
Yeah.
You just got to figure it out.
Something like
right?
that.
Well, I guess you're not the greatest of all time.
Yeah, definitely not that. Although I was at the top last year. Better than Justin Tucker was last year, frankly. All right, picks brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. Griffin.
Getting $7 in free slot play at Live Casino this season every time that Baltimore football or Washington's football team score a touchdown during home games this season. Live Rewards members are getting $7 in free slot play. You have to have your Live Rewards card inserted into the slot machine. Any slot machine on the floor, you have to be actively playing as well in order to get your prize. But once those touchdowns score during home games for Baltimore and Washington this season, $7 in free slot play. Add Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, very good. Where are we starting?
We will start with the SEC Championship being played in Atlanta, and we got this will be at 4:00 on ABC, by the way. The number 5 ranked Bulldogs, Georgia, they are taking on number 2 ranked Texas Longhorns, and Texas is slight favorites. 2.5 is the line. Texas laying 2.5 here.
I don't know anything. I have no idea. All of these teams feel like they're frauds to me. All of them.
Well, there's one that's not.
Which one? Oh, Oregon?
Oregon, yeah.
I mean, they barely beat
They're
Ohio
still
State.
Plus like 300 or something to win the Natty.
Well,
I
a week
guess-
ago, Ohio State was the favorite to win the national championship until
Really?
they lost to Michigan, despite the fact that
Maybe I should be betting on Indiana. Make the smart bet.
to win the national championship, you think that's the smart bet? Oh, God. This is somebody else has got to make my pick. I have no idea what to do here. Because all I'm going to say is, yes, we've trusted Texas throughout the course of the season, but they haven't been dominant. That all being said, Georgia pounded Texas. I mean, obliterated them in Austin. That's the evidence that we have. Like, they kicked the crap out of them. And then turned around and needed 1,000 overtimes in order to survive Georgia Tech. I got nothing here. Nothing.
Pick, you're foregoing?
I don't want to make the pick. How many points is it? 2.5, you said?
2.5
And
for
if
the-
it was 3.5, it'd be obvious.
for
You
the
say,
whole.
okay, Georgia, because they won the first time, and now you get points to play with. But the 2.5 ain't doing a lot for you. Ken's obviously taking Texas because that's what he does. I feel like I'm supposed to take Georgia because Georgia blew out Texas. So because of that, I'm going to do the opposite of what I think I'm supposed to do, and I'll also take Texas.
See, my rules. What were my rules?
Yes,
Who were
take
the-
Texas and Tennessee, and they've been
Texas and Tennessee. So let's start there. And easy for me, it's less than a field goal. It's Texas.
They got their asses kicked by
did.
Georgia.
They did. I'm just, but they really haven't done me wrong outside of once or twice this year, and we've picked them a lot. So I like that.
I don't know. Texas is probably a good team. I don't know if they're the second best team in the country right now, but I still just haven't been overly impressed by their schedule. So I'm gonna choose not to trust them.
That's
Even
what
though
I
did
that's what I
take them
thought I was
last week.
supposed to do.
I did take them last week against A&M, and they proved me right. But I'm not gonna go back to them. I'm gonna take. I've stuck with Georgia pretty much all season. Whenever we picked a Georgia game, and it's obviously hurt me sometimes, but it's helped me out in other places. So I'm just gonna stick with the Bulldogs here. I will be taking Georgia. You two are both on UT, and hold on, Texas. Gotta write down Glenn's here. Almost write down Georgia. Texas. So you two on Texas. You are joined by John Proctor, as well as the two former producers, Kyle and Paul, are on Texas. So that means Ryan Chell is on Georgia with myself, so that's a good sign. I'm also opposite of Glenn.
Yeah,
so
that's
what
what you should really want.
Yeah.
But again, you're not really the opposite of me. I'm the opposite of me.
Right.
Got to keep that in mind. It's really backward.
Then to the 8 p.m. window on Saturday night, the ACC championship, also on ABC. Number 17 ranked Clemson Tigers, and as John in Little Rock pointed out.
Yeah, why did you list SMU as unranked?
I didn't mean to. I just completely. I don't know. I just forgot to. I was so excited. I guess typing SMU for the first time.
Right.
That I forgot that they were ranked. But yeah, they're ranked number 8 right now. But they would get a first round bye if they win the ACC championship. They are 2.5-point favorites as well. The SMU Mustangs.
But these lines are doing nothing for you. They're basically saying,
Good luck.
Who's winning the game. Neither of these teams have beaten anybody at all. I got nothing to work with. I don't know. It's easy to say, well, Clemson's lost more games, but it's not like there's anything that SMU has done that makes you say, here's how you can be confident that SMU is better than Clemson. They beat Louisville. Like, they beat Pitt. Like, that's what they've accomplished.
Clemson lost to Louisville.
Okay. So transitive property definitively proves SMU greater than signed Clemson.
You figured it out.
So I don't know. I don't know. It feels like I'm just going to say this is what I would do. I would ultimately default to Clemson because they're the blue blood. They're the team that's been there. So because I'm doing the opposite what I would usually do, I'm going SMU.
I don't trust Clemson. I said this last week in the South Carolina game. I don't trust Clemson at all this year. And they proved why. I mean, they let one guy beat them and just terrible coach.
Okay.
He's a great player. He's going to be a really good – I mean, he's going to be a Heisman hopeful for years to come, the quarterback in South Carolina. But, it's the only thing you had to do.
Yep.
It's the only thing you had to do. I'm going with, I just want the Pony Express to be back, all the way back. I just, back to my youth when that was really cool. I don't even know what offense they run. I don't know one player on their team. I don't even know who their coach is.
Rhett Lashley.
Great. He's terrific. I'm going to take SMU.
Ken did a pretty good summary there. This is games being played in Charlotte, by the way. I don't know if anyone cares if that impacts anything.
I mean, it does mean that it's a huge Clemson.
Closer to Clemson. But I agree with Clint with Ken. I guess I agree with both of you because you're both picking SMU.
Well, you don't agree with me because I disagree with myself. You got to keep remembering, whatever I think I'm supposed to do, I'm picking the opposite.
I feel like they're clearly the pick. I don't trust Clemson either. They've failed every test that they've had this season. I'm not even sure. Looking at who they've lost to, I'm not even sure why they really even deserve. I guess at 9-3, they're still a good football team, but I'm not sure how much they deserve to even be ranked. And I think SMU's kind of offended by the way things played out Tuesday night, where they were like, I don't know if SMU's a lock, even if they lose. So I think they'll be able to turn that into motivation as well. The committee saying that they could potentially be out with a loss, and I think SMU comes in and tries to prove themselves here and get the win over a not good Clemson. It's not as good of a Clemson team as we have seen in years past. So I will take SMU. We're 6-6 on this one. The three of us are on SMU. Joe Serpico, John in Little Rock, and Kyle Ottenheimer also on the Ponies. Everybody else on Clemson.
Like it.
Yeah. Then also at 8 o'clock on CBS, the Big Ten Championship. This is in Indy at Lucas Oil. The number 3 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions are taking on the number 1 ranked Oregon Ducks.
This is going to test me.
Ducks minus 3.5.
Yeah. This. What?
Yeah, let's go. Go ahead. Do the opposite.
God, nope, not doing that. I'm overruling myself on this one. Ain't no effing way I'm taking Penn State. No. 3.5. What? Did all of Oregon get malaria or something? What am I missing? How is this line only 3.5? All right.
Come on, James Franklin is great in big games.
I can't do it. I cannot do it. This is the one where this is my genuine pick. Oregon.
Yeah, I don't know how you take Penn State. I'm sure some of us are going to because of the hook and conference games. They should be. Penn State has never proven anything to me.
Nothing.
and in any big game ever, and not going to do it now. Oregon.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, pretty simple. James Franklin proved it last week. You can trust him up until the point it matters, and I would think that this counts as it mattering. Like I said a few minutes ago, I think Oregon's the national champion, so I will be laying the 3.5 with the Ducks as well. But we do have two sharps in the group, and that would be Andrew Stecca and Jeremy Kahn taking the Penn State
betting
Nittany
against the
Lions.
public.
Yes.
Yep.
Then to the NFL tonight on Prime.
I can't believe that's only a 3.5 point. How?
How
is that possible?
Like, is it that they think Oregon's gonna, I don't know, like rest players? Like they wouldn't
rest players?
What? What are you
because
talking
they're in.
about?
Like they're in.
Doesn't
They're in
matter.
the
They
days.
have to get the
It
bye.
doesn't matter.
The only way to get the bye is to win the Big Ten.
But if they lose, they're at worst the 5 seed, right?
Right,
Like
but that's
then-
you have to play another football game.
You got to play Arizona State. You think they're worried about
You
Arizona
have to play an
State?
extra game.
Is this some sort of wacky bit that you're doing
Yeah.
right
I'm
now?
trying to explain the
Come on.
line. I picked Oregon. I think Oregon's going to win by
I know, but
17.
the rest
But
players, come on, dude.
That's insanity.
because what do they have to lose playing this game, Oregon?
A bye.
A
What part
bye.
of that are we
A
missing?
huge
They
bye.
all right. I'm trying to explain it.
No, you're not explaining
You're not
it.
doing
You're
a good
saying
job.
nonsense.
Then why do you think it's 3.5?
I don't know.
Then
That's
pick-
what I'm
then
trying to
pick Penn
figure
State.
out. I wish that I could pick against
Because
myself because I'm
Penn
terrible
State's
at
been
this.
I'll tell you, Penn State's been overrated the entire year. How they're this high in the rankings, I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's as equally
People
likely
like
that
them.
they lose by 3 touchdowns. All right, whatever. Let's just move on.
Green Bay at Detroit tonight. The Lions are 3-point favorites. No.
Is there, by the way,
is
is there something that I missed that Penn State did beat somebody this season? Is there somebody that I've forgotten about that there's a valuable win that they had somewhere on the?
They beat Minnesota in Minnesota.
Oh, good, they did
beat
that.
Maryland.
Barely, they beat Maryland. Their best win all season was Illinois, and Illinois is decent. They're decent.
That was in Happy Valley, right?
That was at home. Yeah,
Okay.
it was at home. That's their best win that they've had all year.
I
In
don't.
the Big
I don't
Ten.
know.
That's
That's their only valuable win. They don't even have a close second. That's the only decent team that they beat all year. Holy crap. All right, sorry. What?
Packers at Lions tonight. Lions are 3-point favorites. No hook.
Oh, this one's going to test me too. Son of a bitch. Because I would just default to the Lions here. I'd say it's the Lions at home. What are we doing? But I'm supposed to pick against myself. Oh, I hate this.
You're saying you're going to be going with your gut every time, and you're going to
I really hate
back
this.
to 2-7.
That's the problem. I either have to commit to the bid or not. What am I doing here? How is it only 3? Why couldn't it be 3.5? Son of a bitch!
Green Bay's pretty good.
They are good. I feel like I have to take the Lions, so obviously I'm taking Green Bay, which God, this sucks. This sucks so much. Green Bay.
So this is one of those games that tests my theories coming into this year, and one of my theories was every time that the Lions was on our slate, I'm taking the Lions. I didn't care who the points were. I don't really like the Lions tonight. I get it, short week, you're at home, blah 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 blah. You beat the tar out of Green Bay in Green Bay already. Something about Green Bay late. But I'm not going to go against myself. The Lions are still a good team.
No, I get
Hated how they played the second half a week ago, but too much firepower and everything.
Yeah, fortunately, I've earned the trust. I myself have earned the trust of myself this season, so
you can,
I will.
You can take Detroit.
I will also be taking the Lions. Again, I don't have a strong feel either way. It does feel like a weird spot, I guess. Like the Lions are at home, and it's only 3.
Yeah.
They already got the win in Lambeau, so it definitely feels off. But yeah, the Lions are still at home, so I'll take Detroit.
It's the right pick.
You save John and Little Rock for being a lone wolf on Green Bay. You and John are the only two on the Packers this
Understandably
evening.
so.
And who knows? Maybe you'll have to take your shirt off tomorrow. Maybe who knows?
Somebody said the reason why I'm struggling so much is we haven't done side bets this year.
Oh.
I think I lost. I think I lost a lot of the side bets too. Not as many as you do.
I use a lot of side bets. Whatever we do.
You normally lost all the side bets.
I crumble under pressure, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that has something to do with why it is that I'm struggling. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe next week we got to come up with a side bet.
Let's do then to Sunday at 1:00 on CBS. Pittsburgh Steelers back at home.
Eat 25,000 meat pies or whatever the hell it was.
20,000.
2,000, I think. It was. Yeah, whatever.
Go
ahead.
About 2 feels like 2,000. The Steelers are 6.5-point favorites against the Cleveland Brownies. It is in Pittsburgh. I said that.
You're gonna in front of God and everybody. I have to take the Browns. How? How can I look at myself in the mirror? Because
Browns just beat the Steelers like 2 weeks
I'm
ago.
aware of that. It guarantees it doesn't happen again. Guarantees it. I don't know if you've heard of Mike Tomlin. There's no chance that it's happening again. I already overruled myself once. I can't do it again.
Well, you get to overrule yourself. Well, there's 9 games. You could overrule yourself 9 times if you want.
No. Obviously, the pick is the Steelers. That's the most obvious pick.
What's the line?
6.5. Browns. Yeah. I got to take the Browns because it obviously is the Steelers.
My Pittsburgh friends would tell me that it's an easy pick to pick the Browns this week.
No, that was the first time it was an easy pick.
No. They'll say it again. They'll say it again. They'll say, everybody's down on the Browns because Jameis threw a bunch of picks and they lost the game and blah 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 blah, and the Steelers just couldn't be stopped on offense against, and they would say they're like, it's gonna be a close game again, and 6.5 is in a division game is a lot, but I'm not going to do it this time. I'm going to stick with the Steelers. I took the Browns last time, but I'm going to go with the Steelers.
Yeah, I don't think it's as kind of as weird of a spot as it was that Thursday night. You had the potential of snow, and then there was snow, and it was the short week and all of it. This is now. I mean, yeah, this feels much more comfortable if you like the Steelers. Cleveland off a deflating loss on Monday night. On a short week.
We got to pick up the pace.
What do we got to get going?
We got to pick up the pace.
And 6.5 is a lot, but I'm going to take the Steelers at home. I will take Pittsburgh. Glenn, you are on Cleveland. Andrew Stecca joins you on the Browns, as does Jeremy Kahn. So you got the Sharps on your side. Joe Serpico on Cleveland, and Kyle Ottenheimer on the Cleveland Browns.
What is that? That's weird.
He's kind of a Browns fan?
No,
not really.
Not even remotely.
Atlanta Falcons are going to Minnesota now after losing to the Chargers. Every time when I think of the LAC, I think of Clippers. I want to say Clippers every time. Vikings are 6-point favorites against the Falcons.
Not enough. I actually think that I would take the Falcons here because you guys know I'm still not a believer in the Vikings. I'm still a doubter in Sam Darnold. And so I would say 6 points to play with, and Kirk Cousins, it's the Kirk Cousins revenge game. This is where I would take the Falcons. So, damn it, I have to take the Vikings. Vikings.
Yeah, I'm done with the Falcons. I've taken them way too much this year because I believe in that offense, and no, I'm done. After last week, I'm just done. So, Vikings.
All right, now I'm starting to realize, why Glenn is 2-7, every week. I think I'm not trusting the Falcons again.
I think you guys are wrong about this.
You think that this is a Falcon spot?
I think this is the eternal. This is the moment where we're already.
I'm not betting on Kirk Cousins again.
That's the problem
in my life.
This is the moment where right when you're ready to make the move to Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins gets his rocks off about facing the Vikings, the Vikings, and plays the most brilliant game of his career, and they're all like, well, this is what, and then he turns around and stinks for 3 more weeks after that, and the season's sunk. This is 1,000% what's going to happen, and I'm going to miss it because I got to pick against myself.
Vikings. I'm on the Vikings.
Hate it here.
Glenn is taking the Vikings. That is his official pick.
Sucks.
Jeremy Kahn's taking Atlanta. Joe Serpico, John and Little
Jeremy
Rock.
knows.
Yeah. Kyle Ottenheimer and Paul Valley apparently know as well. They're taking the Falcons. 7-5 split there with the Falcons a slight minority. 4 o'clock window, the Seattle Seahawks are going to Arizona. Falcons. Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals are 2.5-point favorites.
Damn it. Because immediately what I would say is there's no world where Arizona still deserves to be favored. But didn't this game just happen 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, Arizona scored a total of
6 points. They just played this game 2 weeks ago. What is this schedule?
Because they pushed all the conference games to the back half of the schedule.
Yeah, but playing them 2 weeks apart from each other is bizarre. I would say Arizona shouldn't be favored. because they've been duds. And if I said that, then I'd be taking Seattle, which now means that I have to take Arizona. Oh, I hate it here. Arizona.
Yeah, I've trusted Arizona too much this year, which is why I'm probably in second place. I'm not doing it again. They stopped them. They stopped them 2 weeks ago. I'm going to take Seattle here. It's not enough points to, I'm getting points against a team that I think is better.
It's the correct call, Ken. You're 1,000% right in your decision.
Yeah, but we're opposite now, so it's making me scared. Like,
yeah, no, I'm done trusting the Cardinals as well here. Ken, would you start Marvin Harrison Jr. over Malik Neighbors this week? What's your No, you start Neighbors. Okay, all right. Neighbors hasn't caught a touchdown since like week 2 or something.
Week
3. All right.
Now he's got Drew Lock. All's good, man.
Yeah, I guess.
But he's getting targets.
Yeah. You're right. He's getting targets. What if they say that?
Come on.
MHJ again. Yeah, I'm not trusting the Cardinals. Seahawks is my pick. So Glenn is going to take the Cardinals. He doesn't believe in it. He's taking the Cardinals. James is taking the Cardinals. Joe Serpico, John in Little Rock, and Kyle Ottenheimer and Ryan Shell.
There's so many. Where are what is the Cardinals backers? What is wrong with them?
We are it's 6-6 here.
Us.
So
What's wrong with us?
It's a full split on this one. To the 425 window on Fox, Buffalo Bills at the Los Angeles Rams. Cross country trip for Buffalo, and they are taking 4 points with them, or laying 4, I guess.
Oh. See, this is probably, again, this is definitely a spot where I would say you're getting too drunk on the Bills. They're going across the country after they're all hungover from snow and clinching and all that, and this is a letdown spot. And 4 points to play with, I would take the Rams, so I have to take the Bills.
I think you're going to do well this week. I didn't like what I saw out of the Rams last week. I know they won the game, but they seemingly forgot that there were 2 halves of a football game slept through the first half. You do that against the Bills, and you're not going to be down, 10 points. You're going to be down 20 points. I'll take the Bills. They're hot right now. They have something to play for, that overall number 1 seed in the bye, and have everything go through Buffalo. I don't feel a letdown week. There's too much to play for Buffalo. The 425 helps the cross country stuff. Give me the Bills.
Yeah, I agree. This kind of like is starting to feel like the Bills' year, like the way everything's lining up.
You're getting drunk. You're getting drunk on them. They're good. They're not that good.
I'm fine with losing a game. I guess if I'm getting drunk on the Bills sauce here.
No, you're gonna. We're all gonna.
You're right. We all are gonna. I think this could be like you do bring up good points where it is the letdown after the snow game, but I'm still gonna take the Bills. They're the far better team. In this game, we do have 2 backers saying whose house? Rams house. Jeremy Kahn on the LA Rams, and Paul Valley on the Rams.
I don't know. That one's not a bet against the public thing. That one's a weird one.
Maybe Paul wants to try to get some ground on you.
I think he's going to steal a point. This one's going to be the one that hurts me.
Sunday Night Football on NBC. The Los Angeles Chargers are in Kansas City. The Chiefs are 3.5. 3 in the hook here. Chiefs the favorites.
Well, it's not the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't cover, obviously, big spreads, but they tend to cover these, which would require me to pick the Chiefs. So, obviously, I now have to pick the Chargers. Sucks. That sucks. Chargers.
I want to take the Chargers here. I really do. Because at some point, the horseshoe's going to be removed from the Kansas City Chiefs' ass. And there's not going to be a bad snap at the end of the game or a blocked field goal or some craziness penalty and all that kind of stuff. And the Chargers play solid football. But I'm concerned with the run game, unless they turn the keys over to Vidal, which they haven't seemed to want to yet. They just don't have the run game to scare people with the play action and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to stick with the Chiefs here. Betting with Mahomes is usually a good thing, but this is like my least favorite game of the week to pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to stay on the Chiefs here. If Mahomes lets me down, so be it. I guess I'm not. I don't feel bad going with him, going down with the ship on the Patrick Mahomes here. But I've not been impressed by the Chargers the last 2 weeks. Like they did not look good without J.K. Dobbins in the second half against the Ravens. Obviously, they did not look good last week without J.K. Dobbins. Ladd McConkey is their only viable receiving option. The Chiefs are a smart team. I think they're going to find a way to neutralize that at some point. I'll take Kansas City.
You're correct. That's the correct pick.
You save Andrew Stecca from being that's twice now. You've saved someone from being a lone wolf. Andrew Stecca on the Chargers as well. So Glenn and Andrew on the LA Chargers. Everyone else on Kansas City.
All right, that's that. Very good. All right, we will not see you this weekend because there is no Project Game Day.
You will not. You may not see me next weekend. We'll see.
What?
I will actually. I'm breaking a rule, and I will actually be attending a Ravens road game.
What are you doing?
You're going to New York?
What are you doing?
I will be in New York for the Giant game.
You're going to a road game in New York in December?
I know. Can you believe it?
That is.
I am breaking one of my rules.
Right.
But
all right.
Yeah, I will be there. I hope my seats are not too high up in the air, but my son bought them, and
that's cool. All right, that's cool. Very good. All right, buddy. We will talk to you next week. Thank you, pal. Appreciate you.
Take care, guys.
It's Ken Zalis with us here on GCR. We'll come back in. We'll get a tidbit and two-bit or wind things down for a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Millette, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Millette Show. We will be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. The Arthur Millette Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, winding down for a Thursday edition of the program. Congratulations to Roquan Smith. He was named the Ravens nominee for the 2024 Walter Payton Man of the Year. Significant honor. And, a lot of people in football will tell you it's the most important thing, that the MVPs are great. Like, that's the most important honor they've ever received, the ones that have received it. So congratulations to Roquan for that. And I was looking over the lists. I think Orlando Brown Jr., former Raven, was the Bengals nominee this year. I don't think there are any other relevant. Travis Kelce, what's he ever done? Yeah, that's it for former Ravens or local folks. But congratulations to Roquan Smith. That is certainly notable. And was there anything else that we needed to get into today? I feel like we covered just about everything that there was to cover.
Terps are.
What's that? What? You get over there? You all right?
I think so. Yeah, there we go. Interesting.
Doesn't seem great. You okay?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
I was going to say the Terps are going to win a national championship, but yeah.
That would be wonderful. I pray that ends up being the case. I'm not confident.
Why not?
Just not. We got long way to go. Long way to go on that one. Why don't we go ahead and get a tidbit, shall we?
That's right.
Nope, that's definitely not that.
Yeah,
what was that?
That was. I think that was our favorite commercial. I forgot to close that. That was, of course, what I thought I wanted to play.
Of the year.
Yeah.
Best actor locked up by that guy. That's No. No one can do it right. No one. That guy's a No.
Anyone even knows what we're talking about?
So, I definitely, if you haven't seen the commercial of the wax statue melting, it's melting. No. It's my favorite. It is my favorite commercial in years because that dude makes a noise. Around my house, the way that we attempt to say no, my children, no.
Because of that commercial.
So great. So great. All right, how about we do tidbit, though?
Let's do it.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country once again returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through the 30th for the Governor's Challenge, presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and information, visit govchallenge.org.
All right, what you got for tidbits?
So last night had a pretty substantial upset as Creighton, unranked, they beat Kansas. They did. They won by 13. And then so earlier,
Duke unfortunately beat Auburn.
They did.
It's
Yeah,
a huge bummer.
Man, for a second I thought Auburn might have been the best team in the country.
I mean, it's a tough place to win. Obviously,
yeah.
It's a tough place to go. But still, that was a giant bummer.
So technically, earlier this calendar year, so not this season, but earlier this calendar year in February, Creighton did beat UConn when they were ranked number 1 back in February. They beat them by 19. So that becomes the first team since 1990 to beat 2 different AP number 1 teams by double digits in the same calendar year.
Yeah, that's more than a bit wonky. Like nobody in college basketball, a calendar year isn't a thing.
When it did happen though, or the last time it did happen though, it was not any. There was no. It was not. They did it in back-to-back games. It was Oklahoma.
Okay.
In 1990, in February of 1990.
Was it UNLV?
No, it was. They beat
Duke.
No.
Who else would have been?
Well, it was February. It was in there, and so it was conference play for Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. So Kansas.
Yes, Kansas was one of them.
And who else would have been in the SWAC? That would have been number 1.
Is that what it was called? It was the
Southwestern Conference, just the SWC. Actually, sorry. No, Oklahoma would have been in the Big 8. My apologies. No, Oklahoma was in the Big 8.
Looks like
yeah.
this conference.
So Oklahoma State?
Not Oklahoma State.
Colorado? Well,
Colorado.
It would have been Nebraska. Iowa State? Kansas State?
Have to name all of them.
Missouri?
Mizzou. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Mizzou and Kansas back-to-back games for Oklahoma going up.
Missouri was pretty good then. I should
beating a number 1. Sorry, I might have said unranked. It does not have to be unranked. As an unranked team.
So it's nothing then, is what you're saying?
No.
So nothing then.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Oklahoma. I don't have if they were ranked or not. Myles Garrett joins pretty good, pretty solid company this season as he becomes the 7th player in NFL history with 10 sacks in 7 straight seasons. Myles Garrett joins that list. Can you name the 6 others? 7 straight seasons or more. 7 or more straight seasons of 10 sacks.
I'd be able to try the big dogs. John Randall.
Hey, John Randall on the list. 8 straight seasons John Randall had 10 sacks.
Bruce Smith.
7 straight seasons.
Julius Peppers.
No Jules. No Jules Peppers.
Kevin Green.
No Kevin Green.
Reggie White.
Reggie White has the record here. 9 straight seasons of 10-plus sacks. Is Myles Garrett going to catch him?
I have no idea. Maybe. Michael Strahan.
You got to provide analysis. That's how these work.
I got nothing. Michael Strahan.
No Strahan.
Terrell Suggs.
No Sis.
Jason Taylor.
No Jason Taylor.
No Jason. Lawrence Taylor?
Lawrence Taylor.
That's a little.
7 straight seasons.
That's impressive. DeMarcus Ware.
Yes, DeMarcus Ware, 7.
How many are there?
We're looking for 6 total. Seven including Garrett. So
I got 5 of them. I need 1 more.
Correct.
Who am I missing? Jared Allen. Oh,
there you
okay.
go.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about
Hall of
that? Well,
Famer.
there you go. Just killing it over here. Look at that. You thought you had a tough one. All right, let's get the tubular, please.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
By the way, both the AFC and NFC Offensive Player of the Month played against the Ravens in November. Joe Burrow, the AFC Offensive Player of the Month, and Saquon Barkley, the NFC Offensive Player of the Month.
Well, that was December technically, right?
What's that?
That Saquon played. You just mean that the Ravens had to play.
Oh, you're right. That was technically. Why did they? So how does that work? Did they Did they lump those games into? I would feel like because if the week starts in a month, you have to put all of the.
Okay.
I would think that's the way that it works.
Does that mean they didn't count? Because Halloween
you know
night
what?
was like
We're-
the start of that
we-
1 week.
We're gonna put too much into this, and it doesn't matter. Let's not do it. Let's get to
Who was the special teams player of the month?
I
did you click out of it?
I did click out of it.
I guess it doesn't matter.
I did.
We probably know who it wasn't.
Oh, apparently I've been missing. Proctor's been getting in. My apologies.
Oh,
I'm
he was
sorry,
getting
John
guesses in?
Proctor. John said Oregon did not get malaria, but ask again next season when RFK Jr. is in charge. All right, yeah, that's not bad. Also, I think I'm with KZ here. Just cutting him gets you nothing. Keep him rostered. Don't even have him at the game if you want. Healthy scratch, etc. Then get a comp pick, maybe. Worst case, you still get nothing. That to me is entirely up to the player. Like, if the players are good with that, fine. If they're good with you throwing away a roster spot, then all good. That to me is I go into the locker room and I ask the question. Also, there's a lot of hubris involved with thinking you won't need that roster spot. Like, you can say, hey, you got to have a certain number of guys inactive every week. Well, unfortunately, some weeks you end up having that number of guys that are hurt. It sucks, but we know from the last couple of years the Ravens have dealt with that. So could you maybe get away with it? Maybe. But making that assumption and operating with that being a good SOP, we keep coming back to the idea that there's an upside with the comp pick. There's no, like, it's outrageous the way we're talking about this. Everyone in the NFL had a shot at Diontae Johnson at the trade deadline. The Ravens got him for some pocket lint. The idea that suddenly in the offseason, teams are going to be like, well, we didn't want him for nothing, but now we're going to want to give him something is bat-ass. Like, it's just a backwards way of thinking. The only reason to keep him is if you think he can help on the football field. If you don't, like, what are we doing here? You just want to sign all the players and not have them play? Like, giving away a roster spot just makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. All right, sorry. Here's what's coming up, totally Tubular-wise. Mentioned earlier, championship weekend gets underway down in Annapolis. 4A, 3A championship, Mervo and North Point, 7 o'clock. The only way to watch it's on nfhsnetwork.com, and I think you have to pay for it, so either you're going or whatever. It's what it is. Packers-Lions, 8:15 on Amazon Prime Video. Anything interesting college basketball-wise tonight? Fox Sports 1, Purdue, Penn State. 6:30, so maybe a slight advantage for Maryland because Purdue's got to play on Thursday while they had to play on Wednesday. We'll find out. Monumental Mavs Wizards at 7 o'clock. NBA TV Nuggets Cavs at 7. Rockets Warriors at 10. USA for AFC Bournemouth and Tottenham at 3:15. Round 1 of the Hero World Challenge at 1:30 on golf. This is Tiger Woods' event, but he's not playing, right? Like this is.
You're asking the wrong guy. What's the event called?
It's the Hero World Challenge. He's the host of the event.
Hero World Challenge.
It's Tiger Woods' golf tournament. But
Cam Young's leading.
What's that? Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. I don't think he's playing golf. I think that would be maybe would it still be a big story? Would people still care if he was?
Yeah.
Would they though? Like if he was playing the Masters maybe, but in the Hero World Challenge, would that still be a thing? I don't feel like it would be. Access TV for TNA Impact tonight at 8. Yeah, I mean,
definitively.
All right, very good. I don't think he does that anymore. I think those days are. Although, isn't he supposed to be playing the video game league? Isn't he supposed to be involved with that?
Yeah, well, maybe it's the same thing where he's gonna like quasi-host kind of.
He's gonna be the
coach or
team
something.
captain.
Yeah. It's like the Manning's in the Pro Bowl, like they're the team captains and coaches.
All right, non-sports wise.
Non-sports. We got Kate McKinnon will be on Stephen Colbert along with.
She's actually promoting the Tiger Woods video game.
Oh,
league.
that's what she's
That's
doing?
actually why she's there.
She can do whatever she wants now.
Yeah, correct.
Peter Skarsgård, another Skarsgård is out there.
No, he's promoting Wicked, obviously.
Wicked, as well as this movie that actually looks pretty good. It's called September 5th. Which I'm not sure why they didn't try to release it on September 5th.
Seems.
But it takes place during the 1972 Munich Olympics, where this American sports broadcasting crew. Yeah, maybe so. I guess you have her.
Quite familiar with.
Yes, they were covering a hostage situation involving Israeli athletes, and it looks pretty solid. It looks pretty good.
It's something I would watch.
It comes out later this month.
Okay.
Of course, on ABC, everyone's favorite, The Great Christmas Light Fight.
Oh, hell
Season
yeah.
12.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
So wait, there's 12 seasons of this nonsense?
Nonsense. What are you talking about?
Oh, God.
And then that's really it. New episode of Day of the Jackal on Peacock, and then a new show on Netflix with Keira Knightley called Black Doves.
Did you call her Nightingly?
Keira Knightley.
Nightly.
What is it?
I think you just made her like Don Mattingly. Right?
Her name's Knightley, isn't it?
I don't believe it is.
Keira. Oh, you're right. It is.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case.
Apologize, Elizabeth.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I know that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no extra syllable in there.
Maybe she needs it. I don't know.
You think that's what's been holding her back?
Looks solid. Nothing's holding her back. She's doing just fine.
That is a good point.
She's like a spy. Her lover falls victim to the dangerous London underworld. Looks solid actually. There's a lot of. She's killing a bunch of people.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's something.
Big action movie.
That's something. All right, very good. Thanks today to Qadry Ismail. Thanks to Gary Zauner. Thanks to Jason Horowitz and the KZ. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Stands back tomorrow. Stuff and things.
Stuff and things. Yes.
Okay, stuff and things. Thanks to everybody at my binder disappeared. Where'd my binder go?
Outside.
Thanks a lot, Griffin. There was a podcast in here yesterday, so we had to clean everything up. And Griffin didn't bring back my binder, so I would know all the sponsors to thank. Like Live Casino and Hotel. Obviously, Visit Hartford, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, The Governor's Challenge, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, the Costa San, MSAA, Maryland Sports, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Yeah, I need my shillelagh.
Yeah, you should have noticed earlier.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't
know
how I've gotten through the show without the shillelagh. All right, have a great Thursday evening. We don't have go nobody. Duke sucks.